I am here with Paul Bloom. Paul, thanks for joining me.
Sam, it's good to talk to you, as always.
Yeah, great to see you. It's been we were just talking off mic. It's been years. It's crazy how that happens, but it has been
I've been following you, though. You've been doing well.
yeah,
I'm proud.
nice. Yeah, well, I've been following you. I've read you in the New Yorker recently, writing about AI. I think you've written at least two articles there since we actually wrote a joint article for the New York Times 7 years ago, if you can believe that,
Oh, yeah.
about Westworld and the philosophical import of watching it and realizing that only a psychopath could go to such a theme park and rape Dolores and kill children, etc. And I think we predicted no such theme park will ever exist because it'll be a bug light for psychopaths, and normal people will come back, and if they do anything like that, they'll scandalize their friends and loved ones and be treated like psychopaths appropriately.
We'll see. We may be
Yeah.
proven wrong.
Yeah,
Who knows? Who knows?
yeah,
Who knows in this
yeah,
crazy time?
yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun article to write, and I think we wrestled with the dilemmas of dealing with entities that at least appear to be conscious, and the moral struggles that leads to.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll start with AI, but remind people what you're doing and what kinds of problems you focus on. I think though we haven't spoken for several years, I think you still probably hold the title of most repeat podcast guest at this point. I haven't
I
counted the episodes, but you've been on a bunch. But it's been a while, so remind people what you focus on as a psychologist.
Yeah, I'm a psychology professor. I have positions at Yale, but I'm located at University of Toronto, and I study largely moral psychology. But I'm interested in development, in issues of consciousness, issues of learning, um, notions of fairness and kindness, compassion, empathy. I'm actually been thinking. It's funny to be talking to you because my newest project, which I've just been getting excited by, has to do with the origins of morality.
Hmm.
And the spark was a podcast with you talking to Tom Holland, author of Dominion.
Oh, nice. Huh?
And
How
I
so? What was the actual spark?
yeah, I found this a great conversation. He made the case that a lot of the sort of morality that maybe you and I would agree with, that the idea of respecting the right to universal rights and uh, a morality that isn't based on the powerful, but instead maybe in some way respects the weak, is
Hmm.
not the product of rational thought, not the product of secular reasoning, but instead the product of Christianity. And he makes this argument in Dominion and several other places.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking it's a serious point. He's not the only one to make it. It deserves consideration, but I think it's mistaken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think my next project, as I've been thinking about it, and so I thank you for the podcast getting me going on this,
Hmm.
is to make the alternative case, to argue that a lot of our morality is inborn and innate. I'm a developmental psychologist. That's part of what I do. And a lot of morality is a product of reasoned and rational thought. I don't deny that culture plays a role, including Christianity, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's the big story.
Nice. Well, I look forward to you making that argument because that's one of these shibboleths of organized religion that I think needs to be retired, and so you're just the guy to do it. So
Oh, thank you.
let me know when you produce that book, and we'll talk about it.
I mean, I got to say, I heard you guys talk, and you sort of, you guys engaged properly on the idea. And
Mm,
Holland, I've never met, but he seems like a really smart and quite a scholar. So,
mm,
so it's not a, and he gets, I think, credence by the fact that he's in some way arguing against his own side. He himself isn't a devout Christian, a secular,
yeah,
but that doesn't make him right. So,
yeah.
so I'm very interested in engaging these ideas.
So, how have you been thinking about AI of late? What has surprised you in the 7 years that or so that we since we first started talking about it?
A mixture of awe and horror. Uh, I'm not a doomer. I'm not as much of a doomer as some people. I don't know when the last time I checked with you, Sam. What
Uh,
would you say your P doom is?
that's I've never actually quantified it for myself, but
Now's your time.
I think it's non-negligible. I mean, it's very hard for me to imagine, uh, it actually occurring in the most, spectacularly bad way of, just a very fast takeoff, an intelligence explosion that ruins everything almost immediately. But fast or slow, I think it's well worth worrying about because I don't think the probability is tiny. I mean, I
Yeah.
would put it in double digits. I don't know what those double digits are, but I wouldn't put it in single digits given the kind of the logic of the situation.
I think we're kind of in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, um, I mean, people always talk about, you have a benevolent, super intelligent AI and you tell it to make paper clips and it destroys the world and turns us all into paper clips. But there's another vision of malevolent AI I've been thinking about with the rise of what's it called Mech Hitler,
Uh-huh. Yeah, Mecha
Elon
Hitler. Yeah, yeah.
Musk, Mecha
Yeah.
Hitler. You know,
Yeah.
so here's a simpler scenario. Some deranged billionaire creates an AI that fashions itself on Hitler. The Trump Defense Department purchases it and
Mhm.
connects it to all of its weaponry systems, and hijinks ensue.
How could you come
So
up with such an outlandish
what?
scenario that could never happen? There's just no
It's a
way.
bizarre
Yeah,
fantasy. And by
yeah,
the way, it also makes porn.
yeah, that's
So
right.
so
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to get the trifecta.
yeah.
Um, so anyway, I'm like a lot of people. I worry about that. I also find at the same time I find AI an increasingly indispensable part of my intellectual life.
Oh, interesting.
I, I have a question, but not just a specific one. I use it as a substitute for Google. Say, where's a good Indonesian restaurant in my neighborhood, and
Mm,
how do you convert these euros into dollars? But I also have a question like, I don't know. I got into an argument with somebody about revenge. So,
mm.
what's the cross cultural evidence for revenge being a universal, and who would argue against that? And 3 seconds later, boom, bunch of papers, books, thoughtful discussion, thoughtful argument. Mixed in are hallucinations. Occasionally,
Right.
I find it cites a paper written by me that I've never written, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's astonishing.
I've been
What
credited
do
with
you
things. Yeah, yeah. It's told me I've interviewed people I've never interviewed, and it's amazingly apologetic when you correct it. But
I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Yes, you are totally right. Let me
yes,
now give you citations of papers that actually
yeah.
exist. In your working day, when you write, when you prepare for interviews, how much do you use it?
Well, I've just started experimenting with it in a way that's, probably not the usual use case. So we have fed everything I've written and everything I've said on the podcast into ChatGPT, right? And I
Mech Harris.
yeah, yeah. So we have 2 things. We've created a chat bot that is me, that's model agnostic. So it can be run on ChatGPT or a Claude or whatever the best model is. You can swap in whatever model seems best. But so this is like at the a layer above at the system prompt level, and it has again access to everything. It's something like 12 million words of me, right? So it's a lot.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of books.
Do you
Um,
talk to it?
I've taught I've just we've just begun playing with this thing, but it's impressive because it also it's using a professional voice clone, so it sounds like me, and it's every bit as monotonous as me in its delivery. I mean, so I'm almost tailor made to be cloned because I already speak like a robot. Um,
Must be agonizing to listen to, Sam.
it
Must be
is,
just
but it hallucinates, and it's capable of being weird. So I don't know that we're ever gonna unleash this thing on the world, but it's interesting because it like so even having access to every episode of my podcast, it still will hallucinate an interview that never happened. It'll still tell me that
yeah.
I interviewed somebody that I never interviewed, and so it's that part's still strange, but presumably this is as bad as it'll ever be, and the general models will get better and better, one imagines. So,
We're looking at each other on video, and I imagine it doesn't do video yet. But if we were talking on the phone or without video,
mhm.
would I be able to tell quickly that I was talking to an AI and not to you?
Only because it would be able to produce far more coherent and comprehensive responses to any question. I mean, if you said because it's hooked up to whatever the best LLM is at the moment. If you said, "Give me 17 points as to the cause of the Great Depression," it would give you exactly 17 points,
Yeah.
detailing the cause of the Great Depression, and I could not do that. So you would it would fail the Turing test as all these LLMs do by passing it so spectacularly and instantaneously. I mean, that actually, that's a surprise. I wanna ask you about that. That's a surprise for me how not a thing the Turing test turned out to be. It's like
Yeah.
the Turing test was the staple of our of, the cognitive science literature and just our imaginings in advance of credible AI. We just thought, "Okay, there's gonna be this moment where we're just not gonna be able to tell, and that, whether it's a human or whether it's a bot, and that's gonna be somehow philosophically important and so, culturally interesting." But overnight, we were given LLMs that just that fail the Turing test because of how well they pass it,
Yeah.
and this is no longer a thing. It's like it was never a Turing test moment that I caught.
All of a sudden, you and I have a super intelligent being I could talk to on my iPhone. And it and I'll be honest, and I think other psychologists should be honest, about it. If you had asked me a month before this thing came out,
Hmm,
how far away we were from such a machine, I would say 10, 20, 30 years, maybe 100 years.
right.
And now we have it. Now we have a machine we could talk to and sounds like a person. And except, like you say, it's just a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And it is mind-boggling. I mean, it's an interesting psychological fact how quickly we get used to it. It's as if, aliens landed, next to the Washington Monument, and now they walk among us. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the way
Yeah.
things go.
Yeah.
Oh, you developed teleporters. Now we got teleporters. And we just take it for granted now.
Yeah. Well, so now what are your thoughts about, um, the implications, psychological and otherwise, of AI companionship? I mean, at the time we're recording this, there's been recently in the news stories of AI-induced psychosis. I mean, people
Yeah.
get led down the primrose path of their delusion by this amazingly sycophantic AI that just encourages them in their messiah complex or whatever flavor it is. And I think literally an hour before we came on here, I saw an article about ChatGPT uh, encouraging people to pursue various satanic rituals and telling them how to do a proper blood offering that entailed slitting their wrists and as one does in the presence of a
As one does.
superintelligence. Um, what I know you just wrote a piece in the New Yorker that people should read on this, but give me your sense
Yeah.
of what we're on the cusp of
Well,
here.
I have a mild form of that delusion in that I think every one of my Substack drafts is brilliant. I'm told
Right.
is just, Paul, you
Yeah.
have outdone yourself. This
Uh-huh.
is sensitive, humane, as always with you. And and no matter what I tell it to, I say, you don't have to suck up to me so much. A
Uh,
little bit, but not so. It just, and now I kind of believe that I'm much smarter than I used to be
right.
because I
Right.
have somebody very smart telling me. Um, what I my article is kind of nuanced in that I argue 2 things. One thing is there's a lot of lonely people in the world, and a lot of people suffer from loneliness, and particularly old people. Depending on how you count it, under some surveys, about half of people over 65 say that they're lonely. And then you get to people in, like, a nursing home, maybe they have dementia, maybe they have some sort of problem that makes them really difficult to talk with.
Hmm.
And maybe they don't have doting grandchildren surrounding them every hour of the day. Maybe they don't have any family at all. And maybe they're not millionaires, so they can't afford to pay some poor schmo to listen to them.
Hmm.
And if ChatGPT or Claude or one of his AI companions could make their lives happier, make them feel loved, wanted, respected, that's nothing but good. I,
Right.
I'm I you know I think it in some ways it's like powerful painkillers are powerful opiates, which is I'm not sure what I don't think 15-year-olds should get them, but
Hmm.
somebody who's 90 in a lot of pain, sure, lay it on.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel the same way with this. So that's the pro side. The con side is I am worried, and you're touching on it with this illusion talk. I'm worried about the long-term effects of these um, syncopathic sucking up AIs where every joke you make is hilarious. Every story you tell is interesting. Um, You're whenever I mean, the way I put it is, if I ever ask, "Am I the asshole?" The answer
Mhm.
is, a firm no.
Right.
Not you, they're the asshole.
Yeah.
And I think I'm an evolutionary theorist through and through, and loneliness is awful, but loneliness is a valuable signal. It's a signal that you're messing up. It's a signal that says, "You gotta get out of your house. You gotta talk to people.
Mm.
You gotta open up the apps. You gotta say yes to the brunch invitations." And if you're lonely when you interact with people, you feel not understood, not respected, not loved, you gotta up your game. It's a signal.
Mhm.
And like a lot of signals, like pain, sometimes is a signal that where people are in a situation where it's not gonna do them any good. But often for the rest of us, it's a signal that makes us better.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happier if I could shut off. I certainly as a teenager, I'd be happier if I could shut off the switch of loneliness and embarrassment, shame, and all of those things. But they're useful. And so the second part of the article argues that continuous exposure to these AI companions could have a negative effect because, well, for one thing, you're not going to want to talk to people who are far less positive than
Mhm.
AIs. And for another, when you do talk to them, you have not been socially entrained to do so properly.
It's interesting. So, I mean, leaving the dementia case aside, I totally agree with you that that is a very strongly paternalistic moment where anything that helps is fine. It doesn't matter that it's imaginary or that it's encouraging of delusion. I mean, this we're talking about somebody with, dementia. Um, but so just imagine the normal, healthy case of people who just get enraptured by increasingly compelling relationships with AI. I mean, you can imagine. So right now, we've got chatbots that are still fairly wonky. They hallucinate. They're obviously sycophantic. But just imagine it gets to the place where, I mean, forget about Westworld and perfectly humanoid robots, but I mean, very shortly, I mean, it might already exist in some quarters already. We're going to have uh, video avatars, it's like a
Yeah.
Zoom call with an AI that is gonna be out of the uncanny valley, I would imagine immediately. I mean, I've seen some of the video products, which, like, sci-fi movie trailers, which are they don't look perfectly photorealistic, but they're getting close, and you can imagine 6 months from now, it's just gonna look like, a gorgeous actor or actress talking to you. Um that's gonna be imagine that becomes your, assistant who knows everything about you, he or she has read all your email and kept your schedule and is advising you and helping you write your books, etcetera, um, and not making errors and seeming, increasingly indistinguishable from just uh, a super intelligent locus of conscious life, right? I mean, it might even claim to be conscious, um, if we build it that way, and I mean, let's just stipulate that for at least for this part of the conversation, that it won't be conscious, right? That this is all an illusion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's no more conscious than your iPad is currently. Yet it becomes such a powerful illusion that people just most people, I mean, the people, I guess, philosophers of mind might still be clinging to their agnosticism or skepticism by their fingernails, but most people will just get lulled into the presumption of a relationship with this thing, and yet, and the truth is, it could become the most important relationship many people have. Again, it's so useful, so knowledgeable, it's always present, right? They might spend 6 hours a day talking to their assistant, um, and what does it mean if they spend years like that, basically just gazing into a funhouse mirror of fake, cognition and fake, relationship?
Yeah, we've seen, I mean, I'm a believer that sometimes the best philosophy or movies do excellent philosophy. And the movie Her came out, I think, in
Yeah,
2013,
yeah,
is an example of this guy, lonely guy, normal lonely guy, but gets connected to an AI assistant named Samantha, played by Scarlett Johansson, and falls in love with her. And she does all of she the first thing she
yeah.
says to him, and what a meet cute is, I see you have like 3,000 emails that haven't been answered. You want me to answer them all for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I fell in love with her there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're watching a movie and you're listening to her talk to him, and you fall in love with her too. I think we've evolved in a world where when somebody talks to you and acts normal and gives you and seems to have emotions, you assume there's a consciousness behind it. Evolution has not prepared us for these, extraordinary fakes, these
Right.
extraordinary, golems that elude all of the behavior associated with consciousness and don't have it. So we will think of it as conscious. There will be some philosophers who insist that they're not conscious, but even they will sneak back from their classes and then in the middle of the night turn on their phones and start saying I'm lonely, let's talk.
Yeah.
And and then the effects of it, well, one effect is real people don't can't give you that. You know, married, very happily married, but so my wife forgets about things that I told her. And sometimes she doesn't want to hear my long, boring story. She wants to tell her story instead. And sometimes it's 3 in the morning, and I could shake her awake because I have this really interesting idea I want to share, but maybe that's not for the best. She'll be grumpy at me. And because the thing is, she's a person. And so she has her own set of priorities and interests. So too of all my friends. They're
Mm.
just people. And they have other priorities in their life besides me. Now, in some way, this is, I think, what makes, when you reflect upon it, the AI companion have less value. Here you and I are. And what that means is that you decided to take your time to talk to me, and I decide to take my time to talk to you. And that's the value. When I switch on my lamp, I don't feel, oh my gosh, this is great. It decided to light up for me. It didn't have a choice at all. The AI has no choice at all. So I think in some part of our mind, we realize there's a lot less value here.
Mm.
But I do think in the end, the scenario you paint is going to become very compelling, and real people are going to fall short. And it's not clear what to do with that.
I think you've just come up with a a fairly brilliant product update to some future AI companion, which uh, is a kind of Pavlovian reinforcement schedule of attention, where it's like the AI could say, "Listen, I want you to think a little bit more about this topic before, and get back to me because you're really not up to talking about it right now. Come back tomorrow, right?"
I've
And
wondered
you,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that would be an interesting experience to have with your AI that you have subscribed to.
I've wondered that. Like you asked the AI a question. It says, is that really like a good question? Does it seem like a question you couldn't just figure out just by thinking
Right,
for a minute?
right. It's really
Um,
listen, I know everything. That's really what you wanna ask me? Is that don't you have something
that's right.
deeper?
You were talking to super intelligent,
Yeah,
God, and you want to know how to end a limerick.
right.
Really?
Yeah.
Um, I I would wonder if these things, how people would react if these things came with dials.
Mm,
Obviously not, maybe a big physical dial. You want a big physical dial, and the dial is pushback. So
yeah.
when it's set at zero, it's just everything you say is wonderful and but I think we do want some pushback. Now, I think in some way we really want less pushback than we say we do.
Mm,
And it's this way with real people too. So everybody says, yeah, oh, I like when people argue with me. I like when people call me out on my bullshit. But what
yeah.
we really mean is we want people to push back a little bit and then say, you convinced me.
Right,
You
yeah,
you really showed me, or I thought you were full of it, but now upon reflection, you've really out argued me. We want them to fight and then acquiesce.
yeah.
But you turn the dial even further, will the AI then say, we've been talking about this for a long time. I feel you are not very smart. You're just not getting it. I'm gonna take a little break and you mull over your stupidity,
Yeah, yeah,
paltry
yeah.
human. I don't know
Or
if
the
I want that.
recalcitrant style. That's what we could build in. All right,
I feel this could be the worst business
we're
idea
gonna get
ever.
rich, Paul. This is
Yeah, we're gonna
this
get
is
rich with AI that calls you on your bullshit.
yeah.
That's really the
Yeah,
business idea
yeah,
of the
yeah.
century.
But what are we to think about this prospect of spending more and more time in dialogue under the sway of a pervasive illusion of relationship where
Yeah.